My name is Lance Ronas, and I am CEO, Director of Operations, and founder of Indian River Ambulance in Philadelphia. So in 2019, May 1 of 2019, I had a colonoscopy. As every person who's going to become 50 is supposed to get a colonoscopy. You generally you get GI symptoms when you're going to have a colonoscopy anyway, because those are medically induced. Well, mine, I started to eat like I was supposed to, but things just did not change. My GI symptoms seemed to get worse. So I ended up having to go to the emergency department a couple of times. We were worried that maybe I had perforated. So there was a couple of tests to see if maybe they actually nicked something while doing the colonoscopy. But they couldn't seem to get to the end of it. So on May 19th, I went to the emergency department once again, and they admitted me with profound dehydration. I'd lost about 38 pounds in 19 days. And so as they started to run batteries of tests, during that stay, and they were looking for anything. What is causing this? Because I was visiting the bathroom quite frequently. And then on May 27th, I woke up very, very sick. I had severe respiratory distress. I just was not good. And Dr. Reindel chose to give me a treatment that could have been catastrophic if something else was occurring at the same time, but we couldn't wait for a test because, as was stated, I might likely not live through the night if we don't try something. So on May 27th, I said goodbye to my children because they weren't sure if I was going to live. We talked about DNRs and we talked about things like that. Well, I ended up in ICU for about 4 days, and I don't remember much of being in ICU. And then on June 6th, I was released because what they had tried seemed to resolve some of the issues. And so I went home on June 6th. I spent most of the holidays at Samaritan. And then finally on my final stay, which was through Christmas and New Year's of 2019 into 2020, finally Dr. Reindel said that I was more ill than could be handled at Samaritan, that I needed a second opinion because they've tried everything. He kept mentioning a drug called Remicade, and I wouldn't take it. And he was being nice to me. I wouldn't take it because one of the side effects is lymphoma, which is what my dad died of. And I didn't want to leave my children. And knowing that I get every side effect known to mankind when I get a medication, I was very fearful that I would end up with lymphoma and then leave my children and my wife. And so it was on the final stay that he said, you need to go to a specialist. And so at that time, we decided to go to Penn State. So I was transferred to Penn State Health on the recommendation of Dr. Reindel. And after spending a number of days there, they finally had confronted me with I needed to take Remicade, no matter how resistant I was, or I was not going to make it out of the hospital alive. So a couple of days later, I received the first dose of Remicade. And while I got some side effects, it did help. Consequently, they have moved all my infusions to Watertown, and I'm so grateful that they have moved them to Watertown. Dr. Reindel has taken me under his wing again, so I get to see the wonderful ladies and gentlemen at the infusion lab every 6 weeks. And they each time that I go in, they treat me like a king. They've gotten to know me, and through the getting to know me, they make sure I have the right pre-meds. They make sure that I'm feeling well as I can, because I do get side effects while I'm receiving the infusions. And then they make sure that the side effects have all been resolved before I leave. And then we make our date to see each other again in 6 weeks. I would not have lived through the first stay in the hospital had not been for Dr. Reindel. Dr. Reindel seemed fearless and decided to give me a medication that could have been worse, that could have made me much worse if certain things had happened. But because of his medical knowledge and his skill, I'm here alive today because of Dr. Reindel.